Good morning, dear children. Happy to meet you all again. We are in Unit 1, Supplementary. God sees the truth but waits, written by Leo Tolstoy. It's the second part of the story. A wonderful story, very interesting story. Our hero, Aksionov, on the wife's dream. She said not to go out of the home. He denies and he travels. Now he is caught up and he was arrested by the police for the murder case, and he was sentenced as a murderer and he was imprisoned. Okay, let us continue what has happened in the prison. His wife was in despair and did not know what to believe. Her children were all quite small. One was a baby at her breast, so it was feeding baby, so very young, might be 8 months or 9 months baby. Taking them all with her, she went to the town where her husband was in jail. At first, she was not allowed to see him, but after much begging, she obtained permission from the officials and was taken to him. When she saw her husband in prison dress and in chains, shut up with thieves and criminals, she fell down and did not come to her senses for a long time. Then she drew her children to her and sat down near him. She told him of things at home and asked about what had happened to him. He told her all that she asked. What can we do now? We must petition the Tsar not to let an innocent man perish. His wife told him that she had already sent a petition to the Tsar official, but it had not been accepted. Aksionov did not reply but only looked downcast. He was very depressed because it was already petitioned, applied for that, but nothing happened, no pleader. Then his wife said, it was not for nothing. I dreamt your hair had turned grey. You remember? You should not have started that day. And passing her fingers through his hair, she said, Vanya, dearest, tell your wife the truth. Was it not you who did it? So she could not believe what had happened actually. So she is going near him, asked him, dear, you didn't do no? So you do suspect me? Said Aksionov, and hiding his face in his hands, he began to weep. Then a soldier came to say that the wife and the children must go away. And Aksionov said goodbye to his family for the last time. See, he could not accept that because his own wife asked him, really, my dear man, did you do that? And husband could not accept that the wife asked like that. When they were gone, Aksionov recalled what had been said. And when he remembered that his wife also had suspected him, he said to himself, it seems that only God can know the truth. It is to him alone we must appeal, and from him alone accept mercy. He says that even my wife is not believing me. Only to whom should I send the petition, request? I have to plead my master, the Lord only. Only he has to show mercy on me. And Aksionov wrote no more petitions, gave up all hope and only prayed to God. So he started believing in God and he stopped sending the petitions for his release. Aksionov was condemned, punished to be flogged and sent to the mines. So he was flogged with a knot, and when the wounds made by the knot were healed, he was driven to Siberia with other convicts. Oh my God, he was chained and he was tortured and he was sent to the he was sent to Siberia, the other place, with the other criminals. For 26 years, my God, how many years he spent, children? 26 years he lived as a convict in Siberia. His hair turned white as snow, and his beard grew long, thin, and grey. And all his mirth went. He stooped. He could not walk straight now. He drooped down. He walked very slowly, spoke little, and never laughed, but he often prayed. He forgot to laugh, but he always prayed to God. In prison, Aksionov learned to make boots and earned little money, with which he bought the lives of the saints. He read this book when there was a light enough in the prison. And on Sundays in the prison church, he read the lessons and sang in the choir, for his voice was still good. Oh my God, what a pathetic thing, children. So, spending 26 years in the jail, okay, he started making boot. Out of that, he started earning money. Out of that money, what was earned by him, he bought a book called The Lives of Saints. Okay, saint is a person who lived with holiness, okay, who committed his life for God, for the mission work. That is called saint. So he got that book, and whenever light permits, whenever daytime allows him to read, he read the book. And on the Sundays, he used to go to the church, and he read the scriptures, and he used to sing songs in the choir. Choir, you know very well, a group of singers singing for the Lord in the church. And we know very well that he was very much interested in music, and he plays his guitar. Am I right? Yes. And he sings well. Still, he had got good voice, and he started singing in the church. The prison authorities liked Aksionov for his meekness. He was very meek, very humble. Because he spoke very little and never raised his voice. And his fellow prisoners respected him. They called him grandfather because he turned grey now. And the saint, and everybody started calling him saint and grandfather. When they wanted to petition the prison authorities about anything, they always made Aksionov their spokesman. And when there were quarrels among the prisoners, they came to him and to put things right and to judge the matter. See, he has become a ruler there in the jail. See, Aksionov, young gentle chap, now grown very older, grey, and with a long beard, that too grey beard. Okay. He is mending the boots here. You can see the picture. Since he was very sincere, he was meek to others, humble to others, all the people started calling him grandfather, saint, and anything that goes wrong there, any fight, quarrel between two, they will come directly to grandfather, Aksionov, grandpa, see, this is what happened. You tell us what to do. So the judgment, final judgment will be given by him. And any petition to be applied to the officials, they'll all go and ask grandpa, please ask the jailer for us. So he will go as a mediator, stand like a spokesman. No news reached Aksionov from his home, and he did not even know if his wife and children were still alive. Okay, nothing, no news from his own family. He never came to know that whether his wife was alive, children were alive, nothing. One day a fresh gang of convicts came to the prison. In the evening, the old prisoners collected round the new ones and asked them what towns or villages they came from and what they were sentenced for. Among the rest, Aksionov sat down near the newcomers and listened with a downcast air to what was said. One of the new convicts, a tall, strong man of 60, with a closely cropped grey beard, was telling the others what he had been arrested for. So, able to get me, children, able to follow. Now, one group of convicts, the criminals, who was sentenced jail, they all came here, and interview is going on. What are you? What did you do? Where are you coming from? What was a mistake you committed? What for you came in? All these enquiries. And Aksionov, he was very downcast, very depressed, and he was sitting nearby and he was asking what was going on and what about the background of the convicts. Well, friends, he said, I only took a horse that was tied onto a sledge and I was arrested and accused of stealing. I said I had only taken it to get home quicker and I had then let it go. Besides, the driver was a personal friend of mine. So I said, it's all right. No, said they. You stole it. But how or where I stole it, they could not say. I once really did something wrong and ought by rights to have come here long ago. But that time I was not found out. Now I have been sent here for nothing at all. Eh, but it's lies. I'm telling you, I've been to Siberia before, but I did not stay long. Where are you from? Asked someone. From Vladimir. My family are of that town. My name is Makar, and they also call me Semyonik. Aksionov raised his head and said, tell me, Semyonik, do you know anything of the merchants Aksionov of Vladimir? Are they still alive? Know them, of course I do. The Aksionovs are rich, though their father is in Siberia, a sinner like ourselves, it seems. As for you, granddad, how did you come here? See, the moment he says that, the new character Makar, Semyonik, by name, a pet name called, and he says that he is from Vladimir. So immediately he shook his hand and head and wanted to see who was that. And very interestingly, very enthusiastically, keenly asked, do you know anything about Aksionov, the businessman there? And he says, yes, I know. They are good. So his children were alive. They are good. He says that, yeah, but his father was a sinner, I think, like us. Like whom? Like the convicts, the criminals, like you and me. Do you know whom he is talking about? He is talking about Aksionov himself. Okay. So he says that, yeah, they are alive. They are there, good position. Aksionov did not like to speak of his misfortune. He only sighed. So he had a long deep breath. And said, for my sins I have been in prison these 26 years. What sins? Asked Makar Semyonik. But Aksionov only said, well, I must have deserved it. He would have said no more, but his companions told the newcomers how Aksionov came to be in Siberia. How someone had killed a merchant and had put the knife among Aksionov's things, and Aksionov had been unjustly condemned. When Makar Semyonik heard this, he looked at Aksionov, slapped his own knee and exclaimed, well, this is wonderful, really wonderful, but how old you have grown, granddad. The others asked him why he was so surprised and where he had seen Aksionov before, but Makar Semyonik did not reply. He only said, it's wonderful that we should meet here, lads. Those words were Aksionov wondered whether this man knew who had killed the merchant. So he said, perhaps Semyonik, you have heard of that affair, or maybe you have seen me before. How could I help you hearing? The world's full of rumors, but it's a long time ago. I've forgotten what I heard. Perhaps you heard who killed the merchant, asked Aksionov. Makar Semyonik laughed and replied, it must have been him in whose bag the knife was found. If someone else hid the knife there, he is not a thief till he is caught. As the saying is, how could anyone put a knife into your bag while it was under your head? it would surely have woken you up. When Aksionov heard these words, he felt sure this was the man who had killed the merchant. He rose and went away. All the night Aksionov lay awake. He felt terribly unhappy, and all sorts of images rose in his mind. There was the image of his wife as she was when he parted from her to go to the fair. He saw her as if she were present. Her face and her eyes rose before him. He heard her speak and laugh. Then he saw his children, quite little, and as they were at that time, one with a little cloak on, another at his mother's breast. And then he remembered himself as he used to be young and merry. He remembered how he sat playing a guitar in the porch of the inn where he was arrested, and how free from care he had been. He saw in his mind the place when he was flogged, the executioner, and the people standing around, the chains, the convicts, and all the 26 years of his prison life and his premature old age. The thought of it all made him so wretched that he was ready to kill himself. Oh, what a pathetic thing! From this we can understand that who was a real convict children? Makar Semyonov. Yes, and even after knowing that he should have been the person who killed the merchant, our hero Aksionov never opened his mouth all through the night. All the recallings of his old years he recalled with tears, and he could not sleep all the night. He was awake on his bed, and it's all that villain's doing, thought Aksionov, and his anger was so great against Makar Semyonov that he longed for vengeance. He wanted to take vengeance, but even if he himself should perish for it. He kept repeating prayers all time, but could get no peace. During the day, he did not go near Makar Semyonov, nor even look at him. A fortnight passed. Fortnight means 15 days passed in this way. Aksionov could not sleep at night and was so miserable that he did not know what to do. One night, as he was walking around the prison, he noticed some earth that came rolling out of under one of the shelves on which the prisoners slept. He stopped to see what it was. Suddenly, Makar Semyonov crept out from under the shelf and looked up at Aksionov with a frightened face. Aksionov tried to pass without looking at him, but Makar seized his hand. He stopped his hand and told him that he had dug the hole under the wall, getting rid of the earth by putting it in his high boots and emptying it out every day on the road when the prisoners were driven to their work. So what he is doing, he is making another way, like a subway. He wanted to make a secret way to go out of the jail, to escape from the jail. Aksionov saw that, but he is not opening his mouth at all. Just you keep quiet, old man, and you shall get out too. If you blab, they will flog the life out of me, but I will kill you first. What he says. For him only he is here for all these years. And he says that, please don't, old man, don't tell anyone. If you are telling, they will kill me. Before they kill me, I will kill you. He is blackmailing. Aksionov trembled with anger as he looked at his enemy. He knew that he was his enemy. He drew his hand away, saying, I have no wish to escape, and you have no need to kill me. You killed me long ago. As to telling of you, I may do or not, as God shall direct. You need not kill me, my dear son. You have already killed me many years ago. Why? Because keeping the goal on him, sending him for his innocence, isn't it? In no way he is connected to the murder. Am I right? But he was sent to the jail. So he says that, you need not kill me, my dear. You have already killed me long years ago. Next day, when the convicts were led out to work, the convoy soldiers noticed that One or other, the prisoners emptied some earth out of his boots. The prison was searched under the tunnel found. The governor came and questioned all the prisoners to find out who had dug the hole. They all denied any knowledge of it. Those who knew would not betray Makar Semyonich, knowing he would be flogged almost to death. At last, the governor turned to Aksionov, whom he knew to be a just man, and said, see, you can see the way through this they can go out, okay, escape. You are the truthful old man. Tell me before God who dug this hole. Makar Semyonich stood as if he were quite unconcerned, looking at the governor and not so much as glancing at Aksionov. Aksionov's lips and hands trembled, and for a long time he could not utter a word. He thought, why should I screen him who ruined my life? Let him pay for what I have suffered. But if I tell, they will probably flog the life out of him, and maybe I suspect him wrongly. And after all, what good would it be to me? So, if he says that it was Semyonich, they may flog him, they may punish him immediately, they would kill him. And what Aksionov thinks that all these years I am suffering. Why should I make him die now itself? Okay, then I don't know whether he was the one, he was a convict. Before confirming, I should not deal with it. Well, old man, repeated the governor, tell me the truth. Who has been digging under the wall? Aksionov glanced at Makar Semyonich and said, I cannot say, Your Honor. It is not God's will that I should tell. Do what you like with me. I am in your hands. However much the government tried, Aksionov would say no more, and so the matter had to be left. That night, when Aksionov was lying on his bed and just beginning to doze to sleep, someone came quietly and sat on his bed. He peered through the darkness and recognized Makar. What more do you want of me? Asked Aksionov. Why have you come here? Makar Semyonich was silent. So Aksionov sat up and said, what do you want? Go away, or I will call the guard. Makar Semyonich bent close over Aksionov and whispered, Ivan Dmitri, forgive me. What for? Asked Aksionov. It was I who killed the merchant and hid the knife among your things. I meant to kill you too, but I heard a noise outside, so I hid the knife in your bag and escaped out of the window. Aksionov was silent and did not know what to say. Makar Semyonich slid off the bed shelf and knelt upon the ground. Ivan, said he, forgive me. For the love of God, forgive me. I will confess that it was I who killed the merchant, and you will be released and can go to your home. It is easy for you to talk, said Aksionov, but I have suffered for you these 26 years. Where could I go to now? My wife is dead, and my children have forgotten me. I have nowhere to go. Makar Semyonich did not rise, but bet his head on the floor. Ivan, forgive me, he cried. When they flogged me with a knot, it was not so hard to bear as it is to see you now. Yet you had pity on me and did not tell. For Christ's sake, forgive me, wretch that I am. And he began to sob. So he started confessing everything to him. I am the one who did the mistake. Please kindly forgive me. For the sake of Jesus Christ, you forgive me. And when Aksionov heard him sobbing, he too began to weep. So he also cried all these 26 years. He never opened his mouth. 26 years of worries. He opened his mouth and he started crying, shedding tears, sobbing, wept. God will forgive you, said he. Maybe I am 100 times worse than you. And at these words, his heart grew light, and the longing for home left him. He no longer had any desire to leave the prison, but only hoped for his last hour to come. Okay, so finally, in spite of what Aksionov had said, Makar Semyonich confessed his guilt. But when the order for his release came, Oxyanov was already dead. What a pathetic story. He went and accepted it was a mistake done by him. He was a murderer. So he was given a release order, but before it reached him, he was already dead in the bed. Title of the story: God sees the truth but waits. He waits. So for the other man to repent, this man had to be there in the jail for 26 years. Always truth wins, not the lies. Always take a point that always you have to follow the truth. Never ever follow the lies or any shortcut method in your life to follow to come up well. Okay. The story ends up with a pathetic situation, but it is good. I like this story. Thank you so much, children. May God bless you. Follow the truth always. For God sees the truth but waits.